Okay, I have clicked
We
that.
are recording. There we go.
Okay,
We're
and I'm
good.
gonna let folks in the waiting room.
Yep.
Good morning, everybody.
What's up,
Welcome
beautiful
to
people?
Turning Play into Action and the Impact of Physical Health and Wellness with Peter and Troy.
Welcome in, y'all. Welcome
What's
in.
up, folks? How are you?
We're going to give people a couple minutes to jump in. Feel free to let us know who you are and where you're from in the chat. But we'll probably get started with content and things like that around 11:35. Just modeling what we're hoping to see in the chat. Or if you want to come off mic, my name is Peter Alton. I am a specialist with California AfterSchool Network, and I am coming to you all from San Diego, so Region 9.
What's up, beautiful people? Troy Selvey, also with the CAN team here based in Sacramento. I'm going to be checking for a little bit of just where we're at and what folks are doing as you continue to like drop where you're at. I'm curious if people are in a position to be able to turn their cameras on. I'm curious if people are in a position to come off mic at any given point in time, recognizing that we're in a small group. And so, like, although Peter and I have some content to share with you, we're really going to get the most out of this if you all are in a spot where you can contribute and partake. Because so this is my invitation. If you are able and willing, join us. Come on off camera, and if you're not, wherever you are, be safe, you know. But anybody care? I see people dropping in where they're from. I know the Hopland area. I was just there. And Robert, I know Elk Grove, man. Like, I mean, that's just the hop, skip, and the jump from where I am right now. So it is good. Okay. People are
Welcome
fighting
in,
again.
y'all. Welcome in. Inviting you, if you just joined, to go ahead and drop in the chat your name, where you're from. Um, and if you are able to turn on your camera and come off mic, we would love to see your faces. But if you are unable to, we totally understand. But go ahead and drop in the chat just who you are and where you're from.
I think we're okay. So we got Robert and Chelsea, Stephanie, and Amador County. These are my folks are like close. You guys are all like, for the most part, I got some. All right, folks. Like, I feel like for my friends that are close to Sacramento, like, I feel like I should see you sometime. Like, give me an invite. Let me come see what you're doing in program, man. Like, you would be helping me to fix a fix. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put that request out in advance. I'll put my number in the chats. I am dead serious. My people here know that I love the youth, and we don't get as many opportunities as you think to be around the youth. So if ever you are doing something fun in the area, or you think you need me to come, and please, like that's just a shameless plug right off the top. So sorry. Um, I was just in Scotia. I was literally just in Scotia. Like, so say less. Like we were, yeah. Like I'm here for all of that. There are many ways for us. But before I sidetrack us any further, sorry, Peter. Um,
Good.
I feel like you were supposed to kick us off with some things, so I'm gonna pass the mic back to you. I got some of my wonderful teammates here from the equity and quality team. We'll give them some space to introduce themselves, and then you guys can shoot it back to Peter, and we'll get started. How about that? Bill, you wanna kick us off? You can pass to CJ.
Oh, right on. Good morning still. Good morning, everybody. Bill Fennessy, Senior Specialist with Equity and Quality Team at CAN and 25 years in expanded learning. And really happy to see you all and have you here with us today. CJ.
Why, hello there. I was not expecting to have an introduction in this room. I was just coming to join and support my teammates. Yeah, just hanging out with y'all. Excited to learn more about play and activity and health and wellness, and excited to see what my teammates here have been working on because I'm on the other side of the equity and quality. We're working on workforce. But anyways, Crystal Joe here with CAN specialists. Good stuff. Yeah. Get her.
Perfect. Well, thanks y'all for dropping who you are and where you're from in the chat. Troy, I just want to recognize he just dropped his phone number and his email in the chat, so he's
Hey, I'm not
serious.
playing. I'm not playing.
Um, take that down, send him an invite. He would love to come out and see what's going on. Um, And if you are just joining, feel free to drop who you are and where you're from in the chat. Please don't be afraid to come off or come on camera. And don't be afraid to come off mic later on. We are going to hopefully be able to have some good discussion around some of the work that we are currently doing and looking to do centered around um, physical health and wellness. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing screen. And um, everyone just confirm that they can see my screen now. All right, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and go into slideshow. Everyone still see it? I know sometimes that's when it gets weird, so we just like to make sure. All right. So again, we are talking turning play into action, the impact of physical health and wellness work, um, presented by Troy and myself from the California AfterSchool Network. Welcome to you all. We are excited to have you all here, and we appreciate you taking your time to join our session. Again, myself and Troy here is both of our emails. If you would like to uh, reach out, please don't hesitate. We're also going to put this up at the end, so if you don't get it now, no worries. And Troy's email is currently in the chat, and I can drop mine in there later as well. So I'm just going to run us through the agenda. So we are starting with a welcome, and then we are going to move into a grounding. Troy will lead us through a quick grounding, and then we're going to talk about um, what the work is, why we do the work, and how can you get involved. Notice the can is capitalized, a little bit of, what we're doing, just a little bit of wordplay there. Um, Recognizing that we are actually going to, I just want to make a note, we are going to start with the why and then go to the what and then go to the how. All right. So, Troy, I'm going to pass it over to you if you just want to give us a quick opportunity. I know everyone just went through a session and then had a short little break. So, see if we
Yeah,
want to just recenter
a-
ourselves here.
absolutely. And hopefully you all got a chance to do the one that we did today, this morning. However, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to invite you all to stand up, get out of your seats a little bit, because my assumption is that either you did get up and move around, and maybe a little extra stretch might be of some notice to you, or you didn't move during that break and you answered a lot of emails or that phone call that was happening during the first set of workshops. So recognizing that all of you may be in situations that may not allow you to do everything that we are about to do, my invitation is just like it was earlier today, do whatever you can do. This is the moment where it is okay if you want to turn off your camera. I'm okay with that. Like, totally get it. But if you're not, if you're willing to stay on camera, cool. I won't be turning my camera off because you won't be able to see me. Um, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do a little kind of stretching to get us kind of centered in our space today. And so, if you're willing to practice and participate, I'm going to lead you through a couple stretches. I may or may not ask you if there is a stretch that you want us to do. Yes, this also is a grounding activity, the stretching and breathing of the mind. So, my invitation to you, if you are ready, please stand. And if you're already standing, thank you. And if you're ready, we'll go ahead and just touch our toes and we'll go for a count of 10. Okay? A count of 10. Touching our toes, or as far as you can go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll come back up and we're just going to do some trunk twist and we do just a few. And then with our arms here, we're just going to pat ourselves ourselves a little pat, and then we'll alternate arms. Alternate arms. Don't forget to breathe while you're doing this. And then little shoulder shrugs. Go forward first. Then we'll switch it up and go backwards. And then we'll next side to side. And then all the way around. And then switch ways. And then we're gonna end as we finish, as we started. We're gonna go right back down to our toes for another 10 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Coming back up. Any little last movements, and before we sit down, I'm wondering, is there anything else anybody would like to do or offer? Y'all feel good? Y'all ready? All right. Thank you all for that moment. We'll get yourself situated. I don't know about y'all, but I needed that. Needed that. So thank you for participating, however you needed to, getting out of your seat and moving around a little bit. I see some smiles.
I
Yeah,
needed that for sure.
good.
That was good.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And I think you're the why, right?
I am the why.
You're the why. Okay. Got it.
So
All
I
right.
will go ahead and take it from here. Thank you so much, Troy, for leading us through that.
Okay, before I do, like I see people dropping it in the chat. We have been talking to these people for like 15 minutes at least. I am wondering, just wondering, maybe. Can I get somebody to come off the mic? Tell us how you're doing. Tell them what's going on for you beyond the, you know, maybe one interesting thing you think we should know about you. Or yeah. All right, Robert, you're here.
Yep. So like one of the funny things is one of my New Year's resolution this year was to be able to touch my toes. So now I was able to accomplish that in 2 weeks. So like now my goal is to do like a full splits and stuff. And that part of that is to increase flexibility and mobility within my body. You know, as we're getting older, we don't seem to like stretch or move as much. So I think that was one of the things that I what's it called wanted to really like focus on. So I'm glad we did like the stretching and everything. I got my blood flowing, got me awake, and just so pretty good with that.
Good, good, good. Thanks for
Here we go.
coming off camera and off mic, man. I'm glad to hear that, and I look forward to seeing. Robert sent me a message. I'm Roberto. I'm actually gonna hit you up, bro. Like they'll tell you, these people that know me well know that, hey, well, I'm down. I'm coming to see you, and then we're gonna follow this progress
For sure, for sure. Let's do it.
of how the splits go for you.
Oh man, it's a work in progress.
Hey, that's where
So
we start. That's where we start. So maybe one other person before I pass the mic to Peter. Anybody else care to share what's going on for them, how they're doing? Go ahead.
Can I? I just wanted
Yeah.
to say, Roberto and friends, if you're now welcome to the extended expanded learning extended family. You're stuck with us now. So welcome, and just so you know, we're all we're all in this together. High School Musical.
That's what's up. All right. Stephanie, you looking like you got something you want to say over there. Like kind of like, you sure? Okay.
No, I'm all good. This is a fun workshop so far, so I'm enjoying it.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying it. Peter, take us away.
Thanks. She says it's fun right before we get to real content. No, I'm just
Pressure is on.
All right, y'all. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about why is this work important? When we talk about this work, we're talking about Um, Work centered around physical health and wellness, the importance of play, uh, and so what I'm going to start with is um, just a little bit of content and a little bit of context of why play is so important. And so you'll see this chart right here, and it says when life is play filled or play deprived. And so I'm just going to kind of run through some of these things that really stand out to me. When life is play filled for a student, life is experienced as a playground filled with chances to learn. When life is play deprived, life is experienced as a proving ground and often a battleground. When life is play filled, problems are acknowledged and often foster skill development. When life is play deprived, problems are hidden, denied, or avoided. Um, the emotional regulation one always really stands out to me. When life is play filled, stress is handled with resilience. The response is most often stability. When life is play deprived, stress responses are often anger, rage, or withdrawal caused by low self-efficacy. Looking down at the empathy, when life is play filled, others' feelings are recognized, support is often offered. When life is play deprived, others' feelings are not recognized, discord occurs. And then the last one I just kind of want to go over is that belonging. When life is play filled, behaviors are altruistic, leading to teamwork, community creation, and participation. When life is play deprived, behaviors are callous, uncooperative, bullying, and self-centered. So I'm just going to give you all another second to kind of look over this. Obviously, I didn't read through all the lines, but I'm curious, does anything stand out to anybody? Anything surprising to anybody? You can drop it in the chat or feel free to come off mic.
I feel like when you read through those, the play deprived, especially a bunch of kids and even adults kind of came to mind, and it made me kind of curious if this was part of how they developed into these kids and adults, is maybe that play deprived
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I think to our programs too, like obviously we have the students who maybe are more resistant to play because they didn't have it or they aren't around it, and thinking about how how they show up in program and um, how they fill space. Chelsea, I see you in the chat saying the direct impact it has on our mental health is so important. Yeah, 100%, right? Um, Anybody else have anything that jumped out to them? CJ, I see you saying it's fascinating to see the connection between play and perseverance and internal drive. Yeah. I mean, think about, so I wonder if any of us have maybe an example that they can think of how this shows up for them, and they can see how play affected their life positively in a way that maybe one of the ways that we covered.
Well, I recently introduced like my students to play capture the flag, and I know it's like a very offense defense game, and just seeing them like from the first time they played to like now, like they're more strategizing, working as a team, like trying to find solutions by themselves to like basically get to those points. I could see just like the real what is it, like the problem solving skills like taken into place compared to when they were getting frustrated at one another, in the beginning, to how they're working, communicating, and just creating strategies to basically beat the other team, and how that fosters teamwork. So I could really see like how one and one ties to one another.
Yeah. That's a great example. I mean, right in that statement, you already had belonging, problem solving. I would even say probably emotional regulation, because they were getting frustrated beforehand, and now they've been doing it more often. They're having they're having those conversations. They know how to handle the situations better. Um, yeah, so I think that that's a great example. Any other examples or any other things that stood out to anybody? Yeah, go ahead. I see your hand. And how do you say your name?
My name is Arissa.
Arissa? Perfect. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah, so on my personal time, I do Taekwondo with my family. But I also recently had a student join my Taekwondo, and he told his mom, like, oh, I saw someone from after school, a grown up from after school at Taekwondo. And he had recently been experiencing tantrums and having a little bit of emotional dysregulation. And so seeing him at Taekwondo, it's helping him kind of more um, learn discipline, get that emotional regulation, also like perseverance, and it's teaching him, it's giving him a community, a sense of belonging, but also teaching him to stick with it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love that. That's an awesome story. And again, just another example of how these things visually show up in ways that they, you know, sometimes we read these and I think it's sometimes you're like, that's not all of that stuff comes into play with just like play or just something simple. But we talk through multiple examples now where three or four or five of these things are showing up in just small little examples of Taekwondo or um, capture the flag. I see Troy put in the chat just a question of how many of you all have potentially played sports before or been involved in any sort of sport. If you all just want to do kind of an emoji or a reaction, um, just to give us a feel for that.
You're kind. I was hoping to gather some responses for these lovely folks here. Um, because it always is, I'm always interested to know like how people find their way into the world. Because some of us, I know some of us start doing sports as early as possible, out of the womb, and others, right, don't pick it up until their adulthood or later in life. And so I'm always interested to know uh, what people do. And I'm seeing that kind of coming through right now, and like where their on ramp was, because I think there is something to be said and lost in how we define sports play and movement that don't cap don't where people don't feel captured. Like, I have had arguments like same kind of things around cheer to me are the same kind of things that happen in basketball, or the same kinds of things that happen in tennis or golf, or these sports where they're individual or they're team. There are benefits, and so I'm seeing a lot of that. So thank you for lifting my question. And then I is it Barca? Is that right? You said you've never played. I got some people that played basketball. Arnett played basketball. High school, college, like fun. You still hooping now? I feel like you're near a sack. Like, I need a league. So if you tell me where you're playing, man. Like soccer, wrestling, some soccer. Okay. Show choir. No direct sports. Hey, singing is part of singing and dance. Yeah. With dance, CJC, I think dancers are athletes to me. Like, yeah, they're athletes. It takes skill to be able to stay on beat and move.
And sing at the same time as a team, and we
I,
competed. So I mean, it was I lettered
I'm
in show
saying,
choir.
I'm
So
saying, I'm saying, see? Yeah. Um, all right, the adult league. All right.
And Arnett, go for it. I saw you come off mic there for a second.
Yeah, I played years ago, man. It was junior college, but I played it, I coached it, and now I'm retired. I just like watching now. So, but playing basketball was my dream, so I got hurt. So I coached for a while, and now just back to the kids.
There we go. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Yeah, so I think first of all, I want to thank everybody for the engagement and the conversation because that's really what we're here for. We're going to be talking a little bit about why we do the work and what the work is, but we really want to get some good conversation and some feedback from you all about how this work can be shaped and grown as we move forward. But before we get to that, I am going to cover one more slide on why. How many of y'all are familiar with the quality standards? Okay, I see a couple hands. CJ, I hope so. How many of you have never heard of the quality standards? It is okay if you have not. Just trying to get a gauge. All right, so a couple people have not. All right. Um, so I'm not going to go over the quality standards as a whole. Um, But I wonder if one of our uh, I see a couple of fingers being pointed, so we're gonna see something dropped in the chat in a second here, so you all can review the quality standards as a whole. But I am going to refer to just one of our quality standards for expanded learning in California, which is healthy choices and behaviors. And so. Obviously, one of the things that plays into healthy choices and behaviors is physical movement, right? And I hope you all notice when Troy and I talk about it, it's sports, play, and movement. It is not just sports, it's not just play, it is sports, play, and movement because there are so many different ways that this can show up in programs for children, for our students, for us as adults. Um, Moving your body is so important. But I think sometimes we get so caught up in um, traditional sports is the only way that that can show up or that it gets talked about, right? And so having those back pocket games where you got the kids running around, running on, some poly spots, going dot to dot or whatever it may be, musical chairs, all of those things count as movement and play for kids. And those are things that we love to see. Hey, Troy, be careful, man. I was in a bowling league. I've bowled a 260. Like, don't play with me now. My bowling ball and shoes are out in the garage. Um, but like there's a bunch of different ways that we can move and we can play, and I think that's super important for us to highlight. And so again, that shows up in our quality standards, and we want to make sure that that's part of why we do this work, is because we are trying to help drive some of that and help to show the ways that this can show up in our work. Um, For those of you who are familiar with the quality standards, can you maybe let me know how healthy choices and behaviors shows up in your program?
I don't think they've caught on yet, Peter, that we're not above calling on them. And so for that reason, I'm going to say Chelsea, Claudia, either of you available to come off mic, maybe share how you think healthy choices and behaviors are showing up in your program? And is it
We do playworks time, free time, sports clubs. We kind of offer a wide variety of opportunities to move.
When you say playworks time, can you expand on that? I think I know what you mean, but I
We have
want to
like a
make
lot of little
sure.
playworks games, whether it's like fireball or tag or kickball, different jump like obstacle courses, things like that.
Awesome. Yeah. Um, did you all have like a training from Playworks or just use their website or?
We actually did a training a couple years back and we got the Playworks curriculum book.
Awesome. Yeah, Playworks is a great resource for sports play and movement for sure, especially the play and the movement side. That way you have some options for students who maybe are intimidated by your traditional sports or otherwise. That's a great option. Um, Claudia, not sure if you're available to come off mic. If not, maybe drop something in the chat about how sports play movement shows up in your program.
And I'm wondering, and I apologize because I am phonetically the wrong person as a dyslexic student. Um, is it Vidina Flores? Is that Verdina?
Or Verdiana?
Verdiana? Okay. Maybe we haven't. And then I see BRSA typing in the chat, but wondering if they might want to lift their. And I don't know if that's a name or if that's an acronym of a school. So I'm sorry in advance. My apologies. Just trying to get you all involved. It's the includer in me. I can't like move without folks like feeling like they're welcome. So, and CJ's already celebrating you because you guys are already doing it.
That's okay. If you don't have a mic on the computer, feel free to drop things in the chat. We love and we will absolutely lift it for you. That's totally fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No worries.
We have a vendor come named Coach Colton twice a month to all our sites, and he does like an hour of like organized games or just sets up cones, physical fitness. I feel like he's also a good like male role model for a lot of our students because we don't have a lot of male staff. I don't know if that not that it has anything to do with physical fitness, but
It does. Absolutely, Stephanie. Like, I mean, when you can see it, you can believe it. I mean, it's the same kind of things. I bet you, Arnett, your kids are better because at basketball because you played basketball and you show a passion and love for it, so they show a passion and love for it. Stephanie, I bet you those same kids that are going through those activities look forward to that time that they do those things.
yeah, the
Because
coach is very
yeah,
passionate about it himself.
That's pretty.
Aleva,
That's pretty true. I have a couple of kids that's on the basketball team for the school, and a lot of that rubbed off on when we have playtime, and I kind of teach them little things that I know and show them a couple of things when they have practice. The coaches give me time to add in little things here and there, so it kind of works out.
see,
Awesome, man.
I
Yeah,
knew,
that's
I
definitely
knew,
a
I
good
knew
chat.
we had experts in the room, Peter. I knew it.
Mhm.
I knew
Mhm.
we had experts in the room. Like, see, like they're coming to learn stuff from us, and I'm like trying to learn stuff from them. Like, y'all are the ones that are doing this work, man. Like, it has been a really long time since I actually worked with a kid every day. I miss it immensely. So, Roberto, like, I really am serious. I'm gonna hit you up. I'm coming. Like on a Friday, I'm gonna come dressed, and you're just gonna throw me in rotation, and you're gonna be like, "Why is this big dude just running around these kids like he's 7 years old?" Like, I'm telling you. And if ever you want me to come to a basketball practice or that and like just stand there and block everybody's shot, happy to do that too. Happy to do that too. Like man, I do this work because I'm a byproduct of it. The stuff that you all are talking about, please let me understand and help educate you. It changes kids' lives.
Um,
It changes kids' lives.
I,
Absolutely.
I second that because um, I grew up in a rec center in the Bay Area, and that was like my second home. So if I wasn't at home, I was there, and I played every sport there. And then I worked there in the summer. So when I was old enough, I worked there when I graduated from high school. So I've been in rec forever until I moved on and started doing other jobs, and then came back to start doing it again. So it's like I was always involved with kids. Period. After I played basketball, I coached it, went back in the rec league, went back in the school district. So it's like I've always been involved with the kids. So it's a natural thing to me now.
Love that.
Love it, love it. And I'm lifting Claudia's voice. They're saying we have free play during academic portions of the program. We encourage games, for example, around the world with spelling and math. We also have outdoor stations twice a month, examples like soccer, dodgeball, baseball, kickball. So you guys are already doing, we call that sports sampling, giving kids an opportunity to be introduced to new things. And later on, like I'm gonna stop, Peter. I'm sorry. I'm just so
No,
excited.
no, you're good. You're good. You're on
Later
it.
on, we're gonna talk with you all about like how you leverage some of these things and to help like with some of the bigger awareness, and how we can expand. Like we're gonna learn, we want to learn from you how you've been sustaining some of these things that you're offering as well, right? Like and what you want to offer. But because obviously we sit in positions and seats now, but we all come from the same place where you all are at, and our goal is to ensure that whatever it is that you want, like because where we're sitting now, where we're sitting, how do we make sure that you get it? It's plain and simple. How do we make sure you get it? And we don't want to do for, we want to do with. So this is why we're nudging you begrudgingly to communicate with us so that we can hear your voices. Issa Rae, I'm already interested. Can I get you to come and like teach some Taekwondo to like you're talking about like your kids are coming to the program like or from to you where you train. Think about if you take it to your program and start introducing it to your kids and like what could that impact have at your program for other students beyond that one person that's joining you, right? And then you make that person a peer tutor to you and who's helping you, and then there's a leadership opportunity in there. We're moving into youth voice and leadership and all the other stuff. So Peter, I'm going to throw it back. I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry.
you're good. I was just, I'm getting ready to pass it to you in a second. I'm just gonna lift Verdiana's comment in the chat, just saying that they use the company Alevo, and they come out and they do their sports and play with their kids, and then they also run district sports. So yeah, like Troy said, this is showing up for you all in your programs already. And I think we all have a feel for why it's important, right? We see the why. But now we're gonna dive into, I'm gonna pass it over to Troy. We're gonna dive into a little bit of the what. And what specifically meaning like where this work is showing up for us as California After School Network and what we have been doing around this work and where we hope to go with it moving forward. So I'm gonna pass it over to you, Troy, and you can take it from here.
Appreciate you. Okay, so if I get the what like of this, it really at the end of the day really kind of still stymies. Like my two loves are in after school and and basketball and hoop. I love every sport, but like really I'm passionate about hoop and then like in your story and that I resonate with a lot of those things because as a military kid, you move around, you try to like find community. I'm an only child, so I try to find community in many different places and where I was able to find it most was in the arms of the being in a teen center or a rec center or something along those lines with the game of basketball. So this what is has become and morphed into a effort for the organization. And it really is centered around how do we make sure that folks, for all the reasons that we have examined about why it is important, not many people will look to those things when thinking about sports play and movement. We have gotten so far away from just playing sports or having games of tag or just playing for fun. Right? Everything now has turned into a competition. So like just kind of do a little journey, take a little journey with me. We'll share a little bit about like why we have coined it, why we call it physical health and wellness work, why we are talking about sports play and movement and what we're trying to do to advocate to ensure that you have more opportunities besides the half an hour that you're just offering in your programs and things of that nature. And that's a base assumption because I know that that is the base minimum that we're supposed to be offering. And it sounds like you all are going above and beyond that. And so that is even greater to support why physical health and wellness work is. Peter, you want to go to the next slide? So what you're looking at here is kind of a timeline of kind of how this work has started for us as an organization. And I don't just by a show of hands or an emoji, how many of you all are familiar with the California After School Network, aka CAN, like before you jumped on today? Okay. And for my new folks, welcome. What we are is a statewide intermediary that supports the expanded learning division. Um, our goal and our job is, as I said earlier, to champion and passions and elevate all the wonderful work that you all do in the various areas in which you do it. This what you're seeing in this team and our representation is like kind of a journey in which we started to turn to thinking about how do we amplify physical health and wellness as one of the strategies that is happening in our expanded learning spaces that are changing kids' lives. And so it was 2019 where we did a shift in the work as a totality around whole child health and wellness, which then opens the door for us to begin this journey of thinking about how does that show up in our programs? How do we and how can we be impactful to that? And then sadly, but shortly as we begin that journey, move right into January of 2020. Well, unfortunately, we know what happens March of 2020. We move into a pandemic. So it slows and stymies the work, but it doesn't stop the thinking. It doesn't stop the opportunities for us to gather. And so we spent the next 2 years really kind of gathering and working with other entities and just kind of doing the pre-work, what I would say, around how do we build practices and who could we build practices with to be able to kind of jump into this space. And that led us to our first physical health and wellness basketball clinic that was held right here in the Natomas area at the Junior Kings practice facility. And that was joined, and you can look at it, Positive Coaching Alliance, Mentor California, Junior Kings, ASAP Connect, and the SCOE, Sacramento County Office of Education, Region 3 Expanded Learning Team helped us to be able to kind of put some theory into action by holding this camp. We trained 12 to 15, we trained 12 coaches that then helped us to go implement what they had learned with about 50 students from various programs in the area that they came from. And that was when we learned, like, not only do we have the opportunity to do this, we now are looking at like how could we use this as a model to be able to share with other folks around the state to think about how they're engaging youth. It has soon expanded. I won't go through all of this, but this is just kind of like these are some of the touch points that had led us to being able to kind of shift and change. June of 22, we learned about we attended the National Summer Learning Association conference for the first time. Got the opportunity to hear how folks nationally were thinking about and having some of these conversations. By May of 23, we were moving right into our second physical health and wellness basketball clinic, this time with a parent engagement component added to it. By December of 22 through 23, we participated in working with organizations like Project Play Southeast Michigan to support some of the sports, what is now called the Coalition for Sports Equity Coalition nationally. But at that time, we're just convening folks around the country who are having these conversations early stages. That takes us through June of 23. By September of 23, I and my team have joined into a fellowship around policy with a project specifically leaning into understanding what are the bare minimums for what coaches are asked to do in either in the rec spaces or in the non-expanded learning spaces. I sit in a space where I think everything that happens outside the school day is out of school time and stands to be monitored and supported the same way that your programs are in expanded learning. So that means every high school basketball coach, that means every middle school basketball coach, football coach, whatever coach that is doing something with youth should be held to some standard. And that was really kind of where we started. So that journey from September of 23 has continued us on to a path in which, and if you go to the next slide, from 23 to 26, you're going to see we've been able to present at national conferences in March of 24 and March of 25 at the National AfterSchool Association conference. This is a national conference where we've been talking about like what we learned from offering these camps and imploring folks along the way to think about how they might be doing this work. One of the things that we have done and has shifted the physical health and wellness initiative basketball clinics have shifted to become part of a larger strategy around awareness, and that awareness building is called Play Day. Those Play Day activations happen in the month of June. Um, for your note, the last Saturday of June is National Play Day. I believe it's June 27th this Saturday, the last Saturday of June. I think it's June 27th this year. Confirm that after I stop talking. But what we've done is we've partnered some of those physical health and wellness basketball clinics that we were doing and mirrored them to how do we do play day in after school, how play day shows up in after school. So went from doing that right here in Sacramento to taking it to in 24, and we just finished up 7 different regions in 25. You'll see referred to the side the stages. That's kind of how we're looking at how people on ramp into play day activations. The play day activation in itself is broken down into a few different stages, and I don't know if it's listed here, but in the slides, but we'll get you the information for all of the stages of this information. But like this is the work that we're pushing and trying to do. Our goal is and really was since the implementation of ELLP dollars. I don't know if where you sit, you will know all about the expanded learning opportunity program dollars that have been embedded in and into our infrastructure as the expanded learning field, but basically to the tune of $5 billion now investing into the programs, giving you folks the opportunity to do more in your programs. So I would imagine as folks are sitting and listening to this, you're like, I don't know any, my assumption, given where you sit, you may have heard things about this. What I have been saying all along is this is the most understood, this is the dollar that you use to help you to be able to expand your sports programming or play opportunities or opportunities for your kids to learn or have the access to leagues, right? And opportunities to continue to build team and community. And so we're play day activations is just one strategy in which we are utilizing to be able to kind of have that conversation and then anchor how we're demonstrating that across the state here. In the state of California for not only the folks to learn more about it here in the state, but also nationally how it's happening and how what we're learning here can impact some of the national narratives that are happening around sports play. Peter, you want to go to the next slide for me? These are some of the things in which our areas of work now exist when we talk about physical health and wellness. And I think, are you going to talk about this?
We can share this work. I just wanted to also mention June 27th is play day. Just confirm that for you. I went and looked it up.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying. And so um I'll briefly go over this and then maybe we'll just kind of slide. I'll do the first and you can do the second. So, Playday activations is kind of something that I was already talking with you all about. This is an area of work where we're working with organizations and districts across the state to be able to offer what we are calling awareness building opportunities for their families, their students, and their communities, whether it include professional development, whether it include family engagement opportunities, or whether it is just a sports sampling that you are offering. These are all opportunities that, again, I'm with the experts, so I know that you know this, help to be able to foster and support some of the things. So we're just here to help. One of the ways in which the organization does do that is we try to connect you with partners, known partners that we know other districts are either working with, both statewide and nationally. We also do convenings around this as well. So just a little bit of like the activation. Peter, I'll let you talk about the compassionate coaching.
Yeah, so one of the newer things that we are actively developing and looking at putting out is a compassionate coaching curriculum. And so this is something that we are looking at working with not only adults, but also with potentially high school youth to put folks that are either actively working with students and running sports programs, or those high school youth that are interested in doing so, and we can put into programs potentially to do it is running them through a compassionate coaching course essentially and meeting with them, and we are working to develop what this looks like and how this can show up in programs. Um, but one of the biggest things that Troy and I both have a passion for is doing this work with kids, but also coaching. And we both have a history of coaching. I coached primarily soccer, but a bunch of different sports as well. And um, just we've worked to put together a curriculum that is taking the whole child um, into mind when we are talking with coaches, but also helping coaches to see beyond the X's and O's and help to develop strengths within them, help to teach them some SEL skills, help to teach them ways that they can connect with their players and the importance of connecting with those students beyond, like I said, just the X's and O's of the coaching aspect that I think a lot of people initially think of, and really just trying to help develop well-rounded coaches and introduce that into the field.
And
So I don't know if you got anything
yeah,
you want
no,
to
and I'll jump in on the middle school. Like what we're looking at is that we know that a lot of folks, and I don't perceive to know where you all are positioned or what age group you're working on, but I know a lot of the attention tends to land with our elementary students, and so we tend to see our numbers dwindle in middle school and high school. So what we're looking at is we're looking at how are folks, we're doing some exploration around how are folks doing middle school leagues, and if they're doing middle school sports leagues, um how is that integrated into the expanded learning programs that may exist on that campus? How could they maybe expand them? Looking at the ideas, and this is an emerging idea that came from a conference that both Peter and I were at yesterday around like how do you create intramural opportunities, right? Like we know, yes, that kids want to compete. We know that kids want to have the opportunity to play and be the best on their team and move forward with that. Like everybody wants to climb that mountain. Like I got a daughter in my house, 17 years old, trying to be a better volleyball player every day. I get that. Like, but we also know that there are kids that, like they don't even know they like a sport because they've never been given the opportunity to be introduced to it, or they don't even know that they actually like yoga because they've never even been introduced to it, right? And so how do we create those spaces as well? And so we're looking at that in kind of the context of how could we offer middle school sports play and movement opportunities. It says middle school sports, but really we're looking across the board at how do we engage those folks as they move from elementary into middle school, and thinking about some, and it's not mentioned here, but it is tied to this, it's the high school students that then come back and support some of these middle school leagues and things of that nature, potentially as a leadership opportunity for them. So these are kind of how we're looking at the middle school stuff, and what that might look like. I'll take the next one too, Peter, because I feel like this is more me than you. And so the physical health and wellness committees, this is a committee, like we're looking, if you all are familiar with some of our work, we hold and host the site coordinator network and support that network and helping to be able to engage the field. And there used to be committees and convenings and things of that nature by that group, and we're shifting that to a fellowship. But we're looking at how do we find and bring folks to inform us about what's happening in the physical health and wellness space. And yes, we are talking to you all about sports play and movement, but some of my other colleagues are also talking about mental health initiatives that are happening. Some of my other colleagues are talking about really kind of the equity that happens in this space, and like how do all of those things like tie together. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be hosting some communities to be able to kind of have some of these conversations. Some of my teammates that are represented here are talking about workforce, right? These things play together in the context of, so we look at, and I look at, I won't even say a we, they have a, I look at this as an opportunity to think about how are we recruiting folks into our staff? How are we recruiting folks to be able to train and work in our systems? and utilizing their passions that are exist for them. And so, right, that to that point of folks leaving your program and enjoying your program and then coming back. Arnett, your story about like, man, I've always done this, and then even when I left, I came back to it. Right, those are the folks that we're trying to create when we think about like kind of some of these committees. So there's some going to be some growing opportunities around how to inform that work. Um, and it really will help us to think about some of the things. And this is Peter's baby, so I'm gonna let him talk about it, and what's coming with that.
Yeah, so I think one of the big things that I'm looking at and passionate about of bringing to the field is some more just help and ways that we can utilize inclusive practices in programs as a whole for our students with special needs and disabilities. But specifically to that, like, how does that show up in sports play and movement, right? Um, because I think a lot of times we think about the fact that there are organizations and ways for students with special needs with Special Olympics and other things to get involved with sports play and movement, but those are adaptive sports potentially where there are whole teams worth of students who are out playing. What if you have one or two in your program? How do you make sure that they can still be included and have that level of involvement and have that level of enjoyment with the rest of your students? And so definitely some of the things that I'm looking at, um, starting to explore a little bit in ways that we can bring practices to the field, um, potentially convening different groups on, what that are already doing this and are successful in doing this, and then being able to push out and hold meetings of people who are interested in learning more. So, that is definitely developing work and on the horizon work, but that is already, I know it says more to come after this. Um, but that's just because Troy and I never stop thinking. Listen, yesterday we were like Troy said, we were at a conference, and one of the things that we heard and why I think middle school sports, it just kind of jumped to the top of my mind and list yesterday was we heard people talk about um, the dropout rate for sports is at its peak between ages 10 and 12. So kids will get involved in sports as kids and there's a huge number of, you know, kids who just stop playing sports after, between the age of 10 and 12 because it's either not fun um, for them anymore, they lose their confidence in themselves, or they
Is it
no longer have
inaccessibility?
quality
Yeah,
offered to them.
inaccessibility too was another thing I
And
heard.
accessibility, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the ability to jump in and play sports. So we're definitely thinking about different things of ways that we can help to add to the accessibility, but also that compassionate coaching curriculum, like making sure that it can stay fun for the students and they're still getting a quality experience. Um, ways that we can make this all work together and help itself out.
Mhm. And so with that, like we talked at you for quite some time. We shared a little bit about like kind of our journey, but now we're interested like to hear from you. Like I think first and foremost, like again, you all are the folks that are in the field. Are we on the right track? Would this stuff be helpful? Like, if so, are there areas that you're interested in? Are there questions that you have? What might we not be thinking about? Like, what are we, that wasn't said or that we haven't said, that can be included in this work as we do it and continue to push it forward? And this is where the drum roll, I can ask you a question. We can do it in a large group. I can break you guys into some smaller groups. I think there are a few of you. This is where I ask the group what feels right. Like, would you guys prefer to have a little discussion in your small groups for like 5 minutes, or we can spend the next 15 minutes together talking through it together? Someone's over there distracting Stephanie. I, I see a couple people saying together. Okay.
I dropped the questions in the chat because I'm actually going to stop sharing screen so we can all look at
Yeah.
each other's faces
Yeah. I feel like that.
for a minute and just be able to share the space. So if we drop, if you have answers to any
What are
questions, drop
early
them in the
thoughts?
chat, come off mic.
Yeah, what are early thoughts about what we said?
I have a question slash comment. So one of my kids, he's my kid, but he's been in my programs and he's obsessed with sports. He's so competitive. And there's never, like how you mentioned, there might be one, two, three kids with accessibility, like extraordinary needs. And some kids are just so naturally competitive. And then that chart you showed at the beginning about, maybe how much access to play they've had over the course of their life. Some kids, including one of my own children, like if someone messes up the color tag game, even if it's one of their friends, like they're like we're gonna lose, they can't handle it. They want to win so bad. But my oldest kid was like, dude, you got to do it for the love of the game. Like even if someone sucks, like you got to do it because you love the game. And I feel like that has changed my way of thinking because I also am hard on myself. I'm like, oh my god, if I'm gonna play this, I gotta win. Like I love to win. I'm hard on myself, maybe not so much on others, but just that, like I find myself sharing that when we are playing a competitive like team game. I'm like, you got to remember this is for the love of the game. And then you find them kind of cheering on the kid who might mess up the lineup, but is getting out there, and kickball's scary for a lot of kids. Like that's like the number one thing. The littles are scared to play kickball, especially when it's mixed grades, because they're scared of screwing it up. They're scared they're going to get out. They're going to, ruin it for the rest of the team. And so if you guys have suggestions on not only inclusivity for kids that might have like physical limitations, but for the kids who maybe aren't naturally, or maybe because they haven't had access to physical activity, because I feel like so much of our focus now is on like how good we are on the computer. And it kind of, we forget that like we're like physical beings too. Like we still have to know how to run and play and put things together. And some kids, they're so turned off by the day that the coach comes because it's like their worst nightmare to participate. So if you guys have some kind of ideas for the kids that are really reluctant to be involved in physical activity. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, I stink at this. I still do it because it's fun and funny, and you can't really get worse. You can only get better, or or stay at least the same. So if you have suggestions on that, because I feel for them in my heart. Like some of them want to play and they're too intimidated, or the other kids are hard on them.
I think before either Peter and I answer, I'm wondering for the folks that are on the screen, Roberto, Chelsea, Issa Rae, Claudia, Arnett, Virginia, and BRSA, do you all have any advice? I dropped a couple things, but I'm interested.
I have
We
some.
got two. We got
I think
three.
I think a lot of the kids, are not naturally gifted, and when I talk to a lot of kids that are not naturally gifted, that's where the confidence comes in. So my approach is usually when I'm coaching or helping somebody, a lot of kids don't know a lot of people these days don't teach fundamentals yet, right? So it starts from fundamentals. I can give you a perfect example. AAU down basketball. It's a money thing now. It's a money thing. Who's the best talent? And it's really expensive. But that's another reason that kind of took me out of coaching, because when I coach, I like starting from young age, and you teach fundamentals. You make sure they have fun. First of all, it's not winning about winning all the time. It's about learning how to play the game, have fun. And once you taught that at a young age, it doesn't matter how old the kids gets. It gives them that courage to know you started from the beginning. And a lot of coaches these days start from talent. Or he has the best talent. He has the best jump shot. He has the best this. But and when kids go out there and see that, they get intimidated. They don't want to go learn how to play, and they're just scared. And a lot of them are scared to try to go. They want to get embarrassed. But that's where it comes to teaching kids the fundamentals of the game. That's my approach to it. And that's my advice. I would really do. It's not just basketball; it's all sports. It can be even kickball. Some kids think they can't kick the ball hard
Yeah.
or like that, but it's all about teaching the kid how to kick the right way.
Yeah.
It's little simple things like that. So that's my advice for that.
That is definitely go away. Issa, I'm going to go. Ernest, thank you. Issa, I'm going to go to you, and then Roberto, I'm coming to you. Okay.
Yeah, so actually Arnett, Roberto, and I are all contracted from the same agency, and we're actually the community services district for our region. So we specialize in park and recreation. And I think, one thing that we're taught in recreation is teaching the fundamentals. So I've been a Pee Wee T-ball coach for 3 years. We teach the kids the bases, we teach them, and we make it a game. Who can show me where first base is? Everybody runs to first base. Who can show me where third base is? Everyone's running to third base. And then teaching them the fundamentals of how to throw the ball, how to catch a ball, how to go up to the tee and bat at the tee. But we're also not scorekeeping. We're not saying, oh, you didn't do a good, like we're saying, hey, that was a great try. Let's, make this modification. So I think there are a lot of ways to teach, especially the younger ones, sports, like the fundamentals, like Arnett said. The fundamentals is really important. Um, and I recently was listening to a podcast that talked about how it decreased, like the offerings for recreational sports decreases significantly when they get to that middle school and high school age. We're offering them competitive sports. It's either you're in those special like travel leagues, special leagues, or you're competing for your school. But like a lot of times, we're not offering as much recreational sports to that age group anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things that I want to highlight that you had said was the modifications and the reframe of how we're approaching the students. And Stephanie, I think that's one of the things that I know Troy dropped a couple of things in the chat. Um, sorry, I thought I was gonna sneeze there for a second. But it is a lot of like the way we talk to the student, the way we frame it of, hey, we are, we're just trying, we're doing our best, we're not competing, whatever it may be. We're out here to learn. Those changes, the ways that the coaches or whoever's leading the activity is framing it is a huge part of it. Um, and the ability to say, and I know CJ and Troy both put this in there of like sometimes having two separate games is a great way to make it a safe space. So you have one game where it's competitive and then another game where it's non-competitive and students that, are brand new or don't really know what's going on they can be in that non-competitive space and learn and make mistakes with like nothing's happening, right? We're not keeping score, we're not doing anything. This is just a space to learn and play. And over here are students who are like, I want to play, I want to, I want to go for the win, maybe, but whatever it may be. So those are a couple of extra options as well. And Roberto, I want to give you some space because I know you came off mic as well.
So yeah, one of the things that you mentioned is just like that framework. So like I had where we were playing with sixth graders, we did like kickball, and there was like some students who weren't really comfortable because they weren't as the good kickers, they weren't good catchers. But I think just that framework that you mentioned is just we're all having fun. There's no winners, no losers, just having fun. And it's just like building on those skills, like teaching that confidence to step up, like even though everybody's looking at you to have that confidence and bravery to kick the ball. like regardless of what happens. And if you do miss, like, just like reassuring them, like, it's okay, we're here to have fun. You can give them another chance, like to kick that. And it's just reinforcing and building that self-esteem. Because like we had another student too who was like, we're learning how to play volleyball. There's some students who are really good at it, naturally inclined. There's some students who have to work hard to develop those skills. And it's just practicing and teaching them like to set those small goals to those large goals to eventually get to that level. Some people have to work harder, but I think that's just part of what we do. Is just like changing the framework of having fun and also that skill building aspect. That we can provide that space where it's not competitive, but it's more recreational, more fun, where they can practice without having necessarily to be criticized on whether, how talented they are or not. But I think there's just like if you just like change the frame of mind on the way that you conduct the game, it just really like what's it called can be empowering for some students who are not naturally inclined to some sports.
Yeah. Um, I just want to start by thanking you all for jumping in and sharing. I think that right there, Troy and I didn't have to say much, and you all had the answers in the room. Um, I am recognizing we only have a couple minutes left, so there are two things I would like to do. First, um, I did just drop in the chat a link to a survey, which highlights all of the work that we are doing as an organization, and just is asking if you are interested in participating in any of that. We would love to get you all to fill that out. If you do have any interest in engaging, we would love to have you be a part of it if we can. Second thing I would like to do is just take a second to thank you all for your time in this space and let you know, like in these last couple of minutes, if there are comments on the direction that we're going with our work, or if there's areas of, you know, things that maybe we aren't currently focused on, but you think would be beneficial, please drop those in the chat. We would love to see those. Um, Troy, I'm gonna pass it to you to close us out.
Yeah, and I'm going to, in the fashion as we started, I'm going to turn it back to a reflective space to hopefully hear from each and one of you. Maybe one word or phrase of how you are feeling as you leave us today. And it can even be around if you found it valuable or invaluable. Um, so, Chelsea, I'm going to pass it to you and we'll just keep it popcorning, okay?
I'm gonna go with informed
And
as
who
my
are you,
word.
okay, and who are you passing it to?
Roberto.
Sorry, I was filling out the survey. What are we saying?
One word or phrase. One word or phrase that you're taking with you.
I'm just saying alignment.
And who you're going to popcorn it to.
Popcorn to CJ.
Oh, look at you remembering my name and not just reading it. I am feeling connected, and I will pass it to Arnett.
Mine is great information. And I'll pass it to Larissa.
Claudia? We'll pass it to you. Yeah, we'll pass it to you.
So I am feeling reflective.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and I will pass it to Claudia.
I am feeling supported. And I'll
Nice.
pass it on to Stephanie.
Oh man, Claudia, you took my word.
You can have it too.
I
It
can
can be yours.
say collaborative.
All right. And Mr. Fantasy, just because we want to hear your voice one last time.
You know, I expanded horizons.
There it is. There it is. There it is. Well, you all, we are at the 2:45. I'm marking we're a minute over. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. I hope that thank you so much for pouring in just as much as we tried to pour out to you. Decks and all that stuff will be available. Our information will be attached to any of the things that you have. If you have questions, hopefully we'll see you all again sometime. And yeah, like don't forget to join us for the game night tonight. We're having some fun well into the evening hours, so please come back and make sure post your lunch. You're coming back into the open spaces or the opening sessions. We're going to have another plenary conversation from one of our keynotes, and we'll kick you back for one more workshop post this a little bit later. So this is not yet a goodbye, but a thank you for joining us for this session, and I'll see you a little bit later.
Back from
Thank you
lunch at
too. Thank you for
1:15.
everybody.
All right, 1:15. You all take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
y'all.